Yesterday was great seeing David Lammy squirm after he was outed for his derogative comments about President Trump at Prime Minister's questions. Now guess what? Angela Rayner will be facing the same heat as her comments and interviews have resurfaced. Of course, we aren't going to let these go amiss. We want to show you and President Trump what our government feels about him. Wait for more backtracking from this mob. In today's video, we will watch and react, whilst also going over all of the latest news from up and down the country. But first, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel and join our fast-growing community. Just a quick one to say we have new Stuck Farmer t-shirts available on our store. Go grab them now. They are available at britishstand.com or check the link in the description. So as stated in the intro, Labour have been trying their best to backtrack on how they feel about Trump being elected. Starmer makes out everything is okay, but really, he is absolutely reeling. Now we have a clip of Angela Rayner blasting the president, calling him every name under the sun. Have a watch.
Who's the biggest idiot?
We'll come to the president in a moment. Which one's a blithering idiot?
No, who's the biggest idiot, Angela Rayner said? Who would you say
Who do you think is the biggest idiot?
I mean, it's tough competition, if I'm honest. It's really tough competition. I mean, we've got the highest death rates in Europe, and Donald Trump is killing, thousands of Americans by giving them duff advice, and his macho, I'm all right, look at me, I've survived COVID. He's an absolute buffoon. He has no place in the White House. He's an embarrassment, and he should be ashamed of himself, especially when thousands of Americans have died. COVID is a serious disease. It's a serious pandemic. People have died, loved ones have died, and he's an absolute disgrace. And so is Boris Johnson for not being able to even know his own rules. I think they're both idiots, and we deserve better than them.
It's going to be great to see her backtrack from these comments. Anyway, more to the point, she can't talk about people not being fit to run a country. She's miles off it herself. What are your thoughts on this Labour government backtracking? And do you think they are all scared of meeting Trump? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. In some other news, the public overwhelmingly back farmers in their battle with Labour after Rachel Reeves capped their inheritance tax reliefs, polling by More in Common has found. Almost 6 in 10 think farms should be exempt from inheritance tax, including almost half of Labour voters, in research that proves Starmer and Reeves may have underestimated the consequences of their tax raid on such a valued part of British society. In a focus group on Thursday evening in Scunthorpe, voters couldn't understand why Labour were going after farmers, said More in Common. Voters of every party, including the Greens, expressed the same belief, with Conservative voters 75% opposed and Reform close behind on 74%. Asked whether the budget had a positive or negative impact on farmers, 22% answered very negative, and another 24% somewhat negative. Farmers were only beaten by pensioners and small businesses, in who the public saw to be most negatively affected by Reeves's budget. More in Common said, the biggest losers were seen to be farmers, pensioners and small businesses, 3 groups who, despite not tending to be core Labour voters themselves, do attract significant public sympathy and support. This damaging polling comes as a petition to overturn the family farm tax reached 167,000 signatures today. Petitions with other 100,000 signatories are generally considered significant and, if logged on the Parliament's website, become eligible for a House of Commons debate. This one was set up by the National Farming Union and is hosted on a separate web page, however. More in Common's research also revealed more of the public believe the budget will have a negative impact on them personally, 39%, than a positive one, 13%. A third think it will make no difference to them either positively or negatively. Labour voters are also more likely to think the budget will benefit them personally. More broadly, the research highlighted 61% of the public believe Labour is off to a bad start, including over a third of those who voted for Labour in the election. The pollsters add, the number saying Labour is off to a bad start has almost tripled since July, while the number saying they are off to a good start has halved. Labour's drop in popularity began with the controversial cut to the winter fuel payment, before other unpopular decisions, such as surrendering the Chagos Islands, setting up Great British Energy, and paying off the unions, not to mention the Sue Gray fiasco and accusations of politicising the civil service. This was all before Rachel Reeves announced her tax bombshell budget, designed to massively boost taxation and spending. Changes to farmers' IHT reliefs have been among the most popular measures in the budget, with protests planned for November 19th as hundreds of farmers prepare to descend on Westminster. Lastly, Prince William was heckled by protesters as the future king left a venue via the back exit. Prince William has made a special gesture to South Africa and demonstrated his remarkable linguistic skill in a landmark speech. The ceremony was the centerpiece of his trip to Cape Town, where the 5 winners of the 2024 prizes were unveiled and awarded £1 million. The ceremony aimed to provide a moment of celebration, highlighting the impact achieved by past winners and finalists, as well as sparking the imaginations of young people around the world who could be future Earthshot Prize winners. A rowdy mob of anti-monarchy protesters ambushed the Prince of Wales on his final day in South Africa. The Prince of Wales was visiting Kalk Bay in Cape Town this morning when he was met by the group yelling, "Go home now," towards the future king. Others held signs that read, "William, you have no sovereignty in our country." Despite the protests, William received a warm welcome during the 4-day visit so far, with the trip being made to celebrate the Earthshot Prize Awards 2024. Princess Kate did not accompany her husband on the visit and instead stayed at home with their 3 children: Prince George, 11, Princess Charlotte, 9, and Prince Louis, 6. The award ceremony was held last night as William took to the green carpet, with his family believed to have been watching from their Windsor cottage. One protester, holding up a sign on Thursday morning saying he was angry because he believed the prince had not been to the townships to see the suffering. When it was confirmed that William, 42, had indeed done that, the protester appeared speechless and simply shook his head. While chants were made against the prince, who carried on with the engagement unfazed, plenty of supporters tried to drown out the opposition. Cheers of "William, we love you, William," could be heard from supporters of the future king. The 3 protesters joined the crowd of well-wishers just over an hour into the prince's visit. While most of the protests were aimed at William, one shouted that the future king should hand back what your grandmother stole from us. Local fishermen were also reportedly angry that they had not been asked to meet the prince today, as they claimed only Abelobi was invited to take part in today's engagement. The protests, which were the first to have happened on the visit, were a complete contrast to the love the prince received during his walkabout today, where he was handed key rings to take home to his wife and children. What are your thoughts on what we discussed in today's video? Let me know down in the comments section below. If you've not yet already, make sure you do drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for more British political content. Thank you, take care, goodbye.